The foundational 8, activity-based costing mastery. Let's get into the activity. Hello students, welcome to what I call the foundational 8. 8 problems that will fundamentally transform how you see costs flowing through a business. We're diving into activity-based costing today, and I promise you, by the end of this session, you'll never look at a DoorDash delivery fee, a Spotify subscription, or even your university parking permit the same way again. This isn't just about passing an exam, though you absolutely will. This is about understanding the DNA of how modern businesses actually think about costs. Activity-based costing is the difference between Netflix knowing exactly what it costs to stream one more episode versus just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping profitability sticks. I know you all learn differently. Some of you are visual TikTok learners who need the quick hit. Others are spreadsheet people who want to see every cell calculated. And some of you need stories and real-world connections before the numbers make sense. I'm going to speak all your languages today. Whether you think in memes, money, or mathematical models, I've got you covered. As I always say, I learn the students' learning language. And today we're going to translate activity-based costing into your language, whether that's gaming inventory systems, streaming service economics, or the cold hard reality of splitting a group dinner bill fairly. Whether you're watching this at 2 a.m. before the exam, with an energy drink and regret during your commute on the bus, or actually during the scheduled time, respect to you early birds and organized souls, I've structured this for maximum flexibility. First time through, stay at normal speed and let it sink in. Reviewing before the test, 1.5 times speed works perfectly. I've paced the calculations so they still land. Coming back for a specific concept, each slide stands alone. Pause me, rewind me, speed me up. I'm your accounting DJ, and you control the mix. Here's what we're going to do. I'll explain every concept through your world first. Your apps, your streaming services, your daily financial decisions. Yes, even that $7 latte that compounds into a small fortune over your lifetime. Then we'll bridge it to debits and credits, cost pools and cost drivers. Grab your calculator, download the materials from the link, maybe grab that overpriced coffee I just mentioned. No judgment, I need mine too. And let's transform your understanding of how costs actually behave. Remember, to know accounting, you must do accounting. And we're about to do 8 problems that will cement this knowledge permanently in your brain. Meet Oslo Electronics, custom wireless earbuds for the culture. Let me introduce you to Oslo Electronics. They manufacture custom wireless earbuds, the kind you see influencers wearing, the kind that cost $149 but feel like $300. Think of them as the intersection of AirPods quality and Beats aesthetics, produced right here in a mid-sized manufacturing facility. Why earbuds? Because every single one of you has either owned, lost, washed in the laundry, or desperately wanted a pair of premium wireless earbuds. When we talk about Oslo's costs today, you'll feel them because you've paid them, just from the consumer side. Now we're flipping the script to see it from the business perspective. Oslo Electronics is the perfect vehicle for understanding activity-based costing, because their production involves multiple distinct activities. They have setup costs when switching between earbud models, matte black versus pearl white versus limited edition anime collaboration colorways. They have inspection costs because nobody wants earbuds that cut out during the best part of a song. They have materials handling costs because those tiny components, drivers, batteries, Bluetooth chips, need to move through the factory without getting lost or damaged. And they have direct labor costs because humans still assemble the intricate parts that robots can't handle with precision. Here's why this matters beyond the textbook. Warren Buffett famously said, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." But from the company's side, we need to flip that. Cost is what you spend, profit is what you keep. Oslo needs to know exactly what each activity costs them, not just what total overhead is. Traditional costing would spread overhead like peanut butter, evenly across everything. But that's like saying every song on Spotify costs the same to license. It doesn't. Taylor Swift's catalog costs different than an independent artist's. Activity-based costing recognizes that different products consume different amounts of activities. just like different artists consume different amounts of Spotify's licensing budget. As we work through these 8 problems, we'll see ABC principles in action. Batch-level costs that happen once per production run, like setup. Unit-level costs that happen for every single earbud produced, like materials. And facility-level costs that keep the whole operation running, regardless of volume, like factory rent. Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, said, "What gets measured gets managed." ABC gives us the measurements that actually matter. Traditional costing? That's like tracking your fitness by only counting steps. It misses the weights, the stretching, the quality of movement. ABC counts everything that actually drives your costs. Let's dive into the 8 foundational problems that will make you an ABC expert. Problem 1, batch costing at Tasty Beverage Company. Every batch tells a story. Question: Tasty Beverage Company produces soft drinks, specializing in fruit drinks. They produce 5,000 cans of product per batch. Setup cost for each batch is $50, and each drink costs 10 cents to produce. What is the total cost per batch? How much would it cost to fill an order for 100,000 cans? Answer: total cost per batch equals $550. Cost for 100,000 cans equals $11,000. Let me break this down with clarity and purpose. The total cost per batch combines 2 fundamentally different types of costs, and understanding this distinction is the entire foundation of activity-based costing. First, we have the $50 setup cost. This is a batch-level cost that happens once regardless of whether you produce 1 can or 5,000 cans in that batch. It's the cost of configuring the machinery, calibrating the flavor mix, running quality checks before production begins. Second, we have the 10 cents per unit variable cost, which accumulates with every single can produced. So for one batch, $50 plus 10 cents times 5,000 cans equals $50 plus $500 equals $550 total per batch. For the 100,000 can order, 100,000 divided by 5,000 equals 20 batches needed, and 20 batches times $550 equals $11,000 total. Think about it like this. Every time you and your friends order food delivery, there's a setup cost that exists regardless of how much food you order. DoorDash charges a delivery fee whether you're getting one burrito or feeding the entire study group. That's your batch level cost. Then there's the cost of each item you add to the cart. That's your unit level variable cost. If the delivery fee is $5 and each taco costs $3, ordering 10 tacos means you're paying $5 plus $3 times 10 equals $35 total. Now imagine you're running a taco delivery operation and need to fulfill 100 taco orders, but your delivery driver can only carry 10 tacos per trip. You'd need 10 trips, each with that $5 delivery setup cost. Same math as Tasty Beverage. The batch constraint determines how many times you incur that fixed setup charge. Jeff Bezos built Amazon on understanding exactly this principle. In Amazon's fulfillment centers, every batch of orders processed through a warehouse section has setup costs. Workers positioning themselves, systems initializing, quality protocols activating. Then each item picked and packed adds incremental cost. Amazon's genius was minimizing batch sizes while maximizing items per batch, spreading that setup cost thinner and thinner. A McKinsey study found that companies using ABC to analyze batch costs reduced their cost per unit by an average of 15% simply by optimizing batch sizes. That's not accounting theory. That's millions of dollars of real profit unlocked by understanding exactly what we just calculated. The why behind the why here is profound. Batch costing reveals the hidden cost of variety. Every time Tasty Beverage switches from grape to orange flavor, they eat another $50 setup cost. If they made only one flavor, they'd only set up once. But consumers want variety, just like Spotify users want millions of songs, not just one album on repeat. The business decision becomes, how do you balance customer variety demands against setup cost efficiency? This is why fast food restaurants have limited menus compared to sit-down restaurants. Fewer menu items means fewer batches in production, which means lower setup costs spread across more units. Every time McDonald's adds a new McFlurry flavor, there's a batch cost implication. Now you see the matrix. Problem 2. Inspection costs at Montross Lumber. Inspect what you expect. Question. Montross Lumber processes wood to be shipped to construction companies. To keep products uniform, they conduct inspections on 20% of the boards produced. Inspections cost the company $10 per hour, and it takes 1 minute to inspect each board. How much would it cost to fill an order for 30,000 boards? Answer. Inspection cost equals $1,000. Here's where we see activity-based costing isolate a specific activity, inspection, and trace its cost precisely. Let's follow the logic step by step. First, we determine how many boards get inspected. 30,000 boards times 20% equals 6,000 inspections. Each inspection takes 1 minute, so total inspection time is 6,000 minutes. Converting to hours, 6,000 minutes divided by 60 minutes per hour equals 100 hours. Finally, applying the labor cost, 100 hours times $10 per hour equals $1,000 total inspection cost. Notice how we traced cost from the activity driver, number of inspections, through the time consumed to the final cost. That's ABC thinking, following the actual cost causation chain, rather than just spreading overhead arbitrarily. Let me bring this home with a scenario you absolutely understand. Grading. Imagine your professor grades only 20% of homework assignments randomly. Some professors actually do this, which is both terrifying and statistically defensible. If there are 100 students submitting 10 assignments each, that's 1,000 total submissions, but only 200 get graded. If grading takes 5 minutes each, and the TA makes $15 per hour, that's 200 times 5 equals 1,000 minutes equals 16.67 hours, times $15 equals $250 in grading costs. The inspection sampling rate directly determines the activity cost. Montross could inspect 100% of boards and spend $5,000 instead of $1,000, but they've determined 20% sampling catches quality issues sufficiently. That's a strategic cost-quality trade-off, not an accident. W. Edwards Deming, the quality guru who transformed Japanese manufacturing, had a famous quote, "Quality is everyone's responsibility." But ABC adds a crucial caveat. Quality has a specific, measurable cost, and that cost should be traced to the products or activities that require it. In traditional costing, Montross might lump inspection costs into manufacturing overhead and spread it across all products equally. But what if their premium boards, for custom home builders, require 40% inspection, while standard construction lumber only needs 10%? Traditional costing would overcharge the standard lumber and undercharge the premium boards, giving them false profitability signals. A BC reveals the truth. Premium products consuming more inspection activity should bear proportionally higher costs. The strategic insight here connects to something Malcolm Gladwell explores in Outliers. The cost of excellence isn't linear. Getting from 80% quality to 90% quality costs more than getting from 70% to 80%, and getting from 99% to 99.9% costs exponentially more. Toyota's legendary quality system understands this. They don't inspect quality in. They build it in through process design. But when inspection is necessary, ABC ensures you know exactly what that quality assurance activity costs. For Montross, every construction company they serve has different quality expectations. ABC lets them price accordingly rather than treating all customers the same when they clearly aren't. Problem 3. Differential analysis at Orange Inc. The marginal difference that makes all the difference. Question. Orange Inc. grows and ships cabbage. It costs Orange $5 to put together each package for shipment and 10 cents to clean and process each cabbage. How much more does it cost to produce an order for 60 heads of cabbage than an order of 50 heads? Answer. Difference equals $1. This problem is beautifully elegant in its simplicity, but don't let that fool you. It contains the seeds of crucial business decision-making. Let's calculate both scenarios explicitly. Cost for 50 heads equals $5 plus $0.10 times 50 equals $5 plus $5 equals $10. Cost for 60 heads equals $5 plus $0.10 times 60 equals $5 plus $6 equals $11. Difference equals $11 minus $10 equals $1. But here's the insight the textbook won't give you. Why is the difference only $1 when you're getting 10 more cabbages? Because the $5 package cost is fixed per shipment. It doesn't change whether you ship 50 or 60 heads. The only incremental cost is the variable processing. 10 additional cabbages times 10 cents equals $1. That's the marginal cost of expansion within the same batch structure. Think about this like buying concert tickets with your friends. The Ticketmaster service fee might be $15 per order, regardless of whether you buy 4 tickets or 6 tickets. Each ticket costs $50. If your group of 4 decides to add 2 more friends, the service fee stays at $15, but you add 2 times $50 equals $100 in ticket costs. The incremental cost of expanding the group is just the variable ticket price, not the fixed fee spread again. This is exactly why restaurants offer family-style portions, and subscription services encourage adding users to your plan. The marginal cost of adding volume within an existing structure is lower than starting a new batch entirely. Orange Inc. should absolutely pursue the 60-head order over the 50-head order. The revenue increase far exceeds the $1 cost increase. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, built his investment empire on marginal analysis. His principle of radical transparency extends to costs. You must understand which costs are truly incremental and which are fixed allocations. In supply chain economics, this analysis determines everything from Amazon Prime's minimum order for free shipping, they know their marginal cost per additional item, to why Costco sells massive quantities, spreading fixed packaging and handling across more units. The $5 packaging cost for Orange Inc. is like the fixed cost of driving a delivery truck to a location. Whether it's half full or completely full, the gas and driver time are basically the same. The why behind the why connects to opportunity cost and capacity utilization. That package going out anyway can hold more cabbages at almost no extra cost. If Orange Inc. has a customer choosing between 50 and 60 heads, they should offer a discount for the larger order because their marginal cost is minimal. This is why bulk pricing exists everywhere from Costco to cloud computing. Amazon Web Services charges less per unit of compute as you scale up because their fixed infrastructure costs spread across more usage. Orange Inc. with their $5 packaging charge is a micro version of the same principle. Understanding marginal cost isn't just accounting, it's the foundation of every pricing strategy in modern business. Problem 4. Labor cost accumulation at Williams Performance Company. Time is money, and we're counting every minute. Question: Williams Performance Company manufactures sports cars. After making a sale, the salesperson sends the car to be detailed before the customer takes it home. Detailing takes 30 minutes at a cost of $15 per hour for direct labor and $5 per car for materials. If the company is open 5 days per week and sells an average of 5 cars per day, what is the average cost per week for detailing cars? Answer: weekly detailing cost equals $312.50. Let me walk through this calculation with precision because it involves multiple components: time conversion, labor cost, materials cost, and volume multiplication. First, the labor cost per car, 30 minutes equals 0.5 hours. And 0.5 hours times $15 per hour equals $7.50 labor per car. Add the $5 materials per car, and total detailing cost per car is $7.50 plus $5 equals $12.50. Now scale it up: 5 cars per day times 5 days per week equals 25 cars per week. Therefore, 25 cars times $12.50 per car equals $312.50 per week. Alternative calculation approach: weekly labor equals 25 cars times 0.5 hours times $15 equals $187.50. Weekly materials equals 25 cars times $5 equals $125. Total equals $187.50 plus $125 equals $312.50. Same answer, verified. Here's your real-world parallel. Imagine you run a small business detailing phones before you resell them, cleaning screens, replacing screen protectors, testing functionality. You pay yourself $15 per hour, or value your time at that rate, and screen protectors cost $5 each. Each phone takes 30 minutes. If you flip 25 phones per week, your detailing investment is exactly $312.50 of time and materials before you even consider the phone purchase cost. Students who resell sneakers, refurbish electronics, or flip thrift store finds. This is your business model. The math scales perfectly from sports cars to Supreme hoodies. Activity-based costing doesn't care about the glamour level. It cares about accurate cost assignment. Tesla's service centers face this exact calculation at massive scale. Elon Musk has publicly discussed Tesla's goal to make service profitable rather than a cost center, which requires knowing precisely what each service activity costs. Mobile service technicians, Tesla sends people to your location, have labor rates, material costs, and time estimates for every procedure. If a technician spends 30 minutes on a software update that could have been done over the air, that's a $12.50 cost decision. At Williams's rates, that might have been avoidable. Tesla's entire competitive strategy involves minimizing service activity costs while maintaining customer satisfaction. Pure ABC thinking applied to automotive disruption. The strategic depth here involves understanding labor as a variable cost that scales with activity. Williams' performance ties their detailing labor directly to sales volume. More cars sold means proportionally more detailing labor required. But what happens if sales spike during a promotional week? They might need overtime at 1.5 times rates, or temporary workers who are less efficient. The $15 per hour rate assumes normal capacity. This is why Starbucks tracks barista labor hours against customer traffic so precisely. During a morning rush, they need more hands making drinks. But during the 2 p.m. lull, those labor dollars are wasted. Volume variable activities require dynamic resource management, not fixed staffing assumptions. Problem 5. Solving for unknown rates at Stackhouse Computing. Reverse engineering the rate. Question. Stackhouse Computing produces high-performance desktop computers. Labor cost data show that the company spent $1 million for 5,000 computers produced, and each computer requires 2 technician hours and 5 hours of direct labor. Direct labor is paid $10 per hour by the company. What is the cost of 1 technician hour? Answer. Technician hourly rate equals $75 per technician hour. This problem requires us to work backwards from total cost to find an unknown rate, a skill that's absolutely essential in cost accounting and in life. Let's build the equation systematically. First, find the cost per computer. $1 million divided by 5,000 computers equals $200 per computer. Now, identify the components of that $200. Direct labor cost per computer. 5 hours times $10 per hour equals $50. Therefore, technician cost per computer. $200 minus $50 equals $150. Finally, solve for the technician rate. $150 divided by 2 technician hours equals $75 per technician hour. Let's verify. 2 tech hours times $75 plus 5 direct hours times $10 equals $150 plus $50 equals $200 per computer. $200 times 5,000 computers equals $1 million total. The math is mathing, no cap. This reverse engineering skill is exactly what you use when figuring out hidden fees. You know you paid $150 for concert tickets, but the face value was $120. So Ticketmaster took $30 in fees somewhere. You know your rent is $1,800, but your landlord told you the mortgage payment is $1,200. So $600 is their profit margin plus expenses. Financial literacy means being able to work backwards from totals to components. Stackhouse's technicians are highly specialized. $75 per hour suggests expertise, probably engineers or certified specialists. That's like comparing a General Genius Bar appointment at Apple, $0 with Apple Care, versus hiring an independent iOS developer for custom work, $75 to $150 per hour. Specialization commands premium rates. The Stackhouse scenario mirrors the labor cost structures at companies like NVIDIA or AMD, where building high-performance computing requires both specialized engineers, technicians at $75 per hour in our example, and production line workers, direct labor at $10 per hour. As Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, has explained, their GPUs require extraordinary engineering expertise in the design phase but more routine labor in assembly. The cost structure reflects this. Engineering hours are precious and expensive. Assembly hours are more abundant and affordable. ABC captures this distinction. You can't just average all labor at $42.50 per hour, the midpoint, and expect accurate costing. Different activities have fundamentally different cost drivers. Here's the career insight. Understanding rate structures lets you evaluate your own worth in the labor market. If a consulting firm charges clients $200 per hour for your work, but pays you $40 per hour, you now understand where the other $160 goes: overhead, partner profits, training, and risk. Stackhouse's technicians at $75 per hour probably cost the company $100 plus per hour, including benefits, training, equipment, and supervision. The gap between what workers receive and what their labor costs the business is real and significant. Knowing how to trace labor costs to activities makes you a more sophisticated negotiator of your own compensation because you understand the business model behind the paycheck. Problem 6. Job costing with multiple cost pools at Haywood Printing. When every activity has its price. Question: Haywood Printing is processing a job with the following activity rates. Activity, cost driver, driver rate, direct labor, number of hours, $8, copying, number of copies, $0.05. If this job requires 5 hours for 1,000 copies, what is the activity-based cost of the job? Answer: total job cost equals $90. This is pure activity-based costing in action. 2 separate cost pools, each with its own driver, applied to calculate a job's total cost. Let's compute each activity independently. Direct labor, 5 hours times $8 per hour equals $40. Copying, 1,000 copies times 5 cents per copy equals $50. Total activity-based cost, $40 plus $50 equals $90. Notice how each activity has a different driver: hours for labor, copies for copying. This is the essence of ABC. Activities consume resources, products consume activities, and we trace costs through that causal chain. A traditional system might have just applied overhead as a percentage of direct labor, completely missing the independent behavior of copying costs. Let me paint this in student terms. Imagine you're running a side hustle making custom t-shirts for campus organizations. Your activities, designing, your time at $20 per hour, and printing, let's say $2 per shirt through a print-on-demand service. A fraternity orders 50 shirts, and you spend 3 hours on the design. Activity-based cost, 3 hours times $20, plus 50 shirts times $2 equals $60, plus $100 equals $160. Traditional costing might have said add 50% markup to materials, which would be $150, underpricing the design-heavy job. What if a sorority orders 100 shirts, but wants to use an existing design, 0.5 hours of tweaking? A BC, 0.5 times $20, plus 100 times $2 equals $10, plus $200 equals $210. The jobs have completely different cost structures, even though both are custom t-shirts. Staples, FedEx Office, and every commercial printing operation use exactly this ABC framework. They quote jobs based on specific activities. Setup, fixed charge per job, color versus black and white, different per-page rates, paper type, different material costs, binding, separate activity rate, and rush delivery, time-based premium. When you get a quote for copying your thesis, you're seeing ABC in action, each activity priced according to its actual cost driver. Traditional costing would have given everyone the same per-page rate regardless of complexity, which would underprice complex jobs and overprice simple ones, driving away profitable simple business while attracting unprofitable complex work. The Malcolm Gladwell insight here connects to his concept of thin slicing, making accurate judgments based on limited information. ABC is thin slicing for cost management. Instead of trying to understand every microtransaction, ABC identifies the few activities that truly drive costs and measures those precisely. Haywood doesn't track electricity per job or supervisor time per copy. They've determined that labor hours and copy count are the meaningful drivers. This simplicity through focus is why ABC became revolutionary in the 1980s when Robin Cooper and Robert Kaplan formalized it. Complexity is the enemy of understanding. ABC creates clarity by tracking what actually matters. Problem 7. Computing activity rates at locked data processing. Different work, different worth. Question. Locked data processing reported expenses of $5 million for labor, of which $3 million was for data analysis and $2 million was for data entry. Locke recorded 30,000 hours of data analysis and 100,000 hours of data entry. What are the activity-based rates for each type of labor? Answer: data analysis rate equals $100 per hour. Data entry rate equals $20 per hour. This problem reveals one of ABC's most powerful insights. Not all labor is created equal, and treating different activities as interchangeable creates massive cost distortions. Let's compute each rate. Data analysis: $3 million divided by 30,000 hours equals $100 per hour. Data entry: $2 million divided by 100,000 hours equals $20 per hour. The data analysts cost 5 times more per hour than data entry workers. If Locke used a blended average rate, it would be $5 million divided by 130,000 total hours equals $38.46 per hour. That average would overcharge clients who need mostly data entry, $38.46 versus actual $20, and undercharge clients who need heavy analysis, $38.46 versus actual $100. A BC prevents this cross-subsidization. Think about this in terms of tutoring. A math tutor helping with calculus homework might charge $30 per hour, while a peer tutor helping with algebra charges $15 per hour. If a tutoring center averaged their rates, calculus students would be subsidizing algebra students. And guess who would stop coming? The calculus students would find better deals elsewhere, leaving only algebra students who are now overcharged, and the tutoring center collapses. This is called adverse selection, and it destroys businesses that don't differentiate pricing based on actual activity costs. Locked data processing could similarly lose high analysis clients to competitors who price accurately while retaining only low-margin data entry work. The tech industry lives this reality daily. When you hire contractors on Upwork or Fiverr, rates vary wildly. Basic data entry might cost $5 to $15 per hour from global workers, while machine learning engineers command $150 to $300 per hour. Consulting firms like McKinsey and Accenture maintain complex rate cards, where a junior analyst bills at $200 per hour and a senior partner at $1,000 per hour. If they averaged everyone at $500 per hour, junior-heavy projects would be overpriced, and partner-heavy, strategic work would be underpriced. A BC rate calculation isn't just textbook theory. It's how billion-dollar professional services firms actually operate and stay profitable. The deeper lesson here is about human capital valuation. The $100 per hour data analysts at Locke have skills, training, and expertise that command a premium. The $20 per hour data entry workers perform important but more routine tasks. This isn't a value judgment on people, it's market economics. As automation advances, data entry increasingly gets replaced by AI and software. Think: optical character recognition, automated form filling. Data analysis, requiring judgment and interpretation, remains human-centric longer. Understanding activity rates helps you position your own career. Develop skills that command $100 per hour rates, not $20 per hour rates that technology will absorb. Problem 8. Materials handling charges at ABC Corp. Handling the heavy lifting. Question. The materials handling charge for ABC Corp. is 50 cents per pound of finished product. What is the materials handling charge for a job that produced 10,000 units at a weight of 6 pounds per unit? Answer. Materials handling charge equals $30,000. This problem demonstrates how ABC can use non-traditional cost drivers that actually reflect resource consumption. Materials handling costs don't scale with labor hours or machine time. They scale with the weight being moved around the facility. Calculation. 10,000 units times 6 pounds per unit equals 60,000 total pounds. 60,000 pounds times 50 cents per pound equals $30,000 materials handling charge. This rate captures forklift operation, warehouse workers, conveyor systems, and material movement equipment, all of which work harder when heavier products are being produced. A product weighing 6 pounds consumes 6 times more handling resources than a 1-pound product, and ABC recognizes that relationship. Here's your real-world connection. Shipping costs. When you sell something on eBay or Mercari, shipping isn't based on the item's value, it's based on weight and dimensions. A $500 lightweight laptop costs less to ship than a $50 heavy textbook. USPS, UPS, and FedEx all use weight as a primary cost driver, because that's what actually determines their fuel, labor, and equipment consumption. A BC Corp is applying the same logic internally. Every time a forklift moves materials, it burns fuel, uses operator time, and wears out equipment in proportion to weight moved. A 60,000-pound total movement job truly does cost more to handle than a 10,000-pound job. Amazon's fulfillment centers are the modern cathedral of materials handling optimization. Jeff Bezos invested billions in Kiva robots, now Amazon Robotics, specifically because materials handling was a dominant cost driver. Those robots move shelving units to workers rather than workers walking to shelves, reducing labor time per pound moved. Amazon tracks cost per pound shipped with religious precision because it directly affects their profitability on every order. When Amazon offers free shipping on heavy items, they're absorbing materials handling costs that traditional retailers would pass through. Their scale lets them negotiate those costs down, but the underlying ABC logic is identical to ABC Corp's 50 cents per pound rate. The strategic principle extends beyond manufacturing. Identify what actually drives costs, even if it's unconventional. A law firm might track costs per document page because printing, filing, and storage scale with paper volume. A hospital might track costs per patient day because staffing, meals, and supplies correlate with occupied beds. A software company might track costs per active user because server load, support tickets, and bandwidth scale with engagement. Materials handling per pound is ABC Corp's truth. Your business, or future employer, has its own activity drivers waiting to be discovered and measured. The companies that measure accurately price accurately, and accurate pricing is the foundation of sustainable profitability. Integration, connecting all 8 into one operating system. Let's step back and see how these 8 problems form a complete ABC framework. We started with batch costing at Tasty Beverage, understanding that some costs occur once per batch regardless of units produced. We moved to inspection sampling at Montross Lumber, seeing how activity rates depend on sampling percentages and time measurements. Differential analysis at Orange Inc. showed us that within a batch structure, marginal costs are driven only by variable components. Labor accumulation at Williams Performance demonstrated multiplying time, rates, and volume to reach weekly cost totals. Reverse engineering at Stackhouse Computing proved we can solve for unknown rates when we know totals and component structures. Job costing at Haywood Printing combined multiple cost pools with different drivers into a single job cost. Activity rate computation at Lock Data Processing revealed how different activities within the same company require different rates. Finally, materials handling at ABC Corp showed that weight, a non-traditional driver, can accurately trace costs to products. Peter Drucker's wisdom ties this together. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. Traditional costing does things right. It allocates costs. But ABC does the right things by allocating costs based on actual causation. Think about how these principles apply to your own financial life. Your streaming subscriptions, batch/fixed monthly costs, your study time per class, activity rate per credit hour, your dining expenses, variable per meal, your rent, facility level cost that doesn't change with your activity level. You're already living in an ABC world. Now you have the vocabulary to describe it and the mathematics to analyze it. Every modern company you admire uses these ABC principles, whether they call it that or not. When Netflix decides whether to produce a new show, they're doing ABC. What are the batch costs, pilot production, unit costs, per episode production, and activity rates, cost per minute of content? When Spotify negotiates with record labels, they're thinking in ABC, cost per stream, cost per user, cost per catalog song maintained. When Tesla prices a Model Y, they've traced every component, every labor hour, every materials handling movement. The companies that win are the ones that understand their cost structures at the activity level, not just at the aggregate level. Your exam will test these 8 problem types, but your career will test them continuously. Whether you become a CFO analyzing factory costs, a consultant optimizing client operations, an entrepreneur pricing your products, or a manager budgeting your department, these 8 foundational skills will serve you. Where the numbers speak, we must listen, and ABC gives us ears to hear what the numbers are actually telling us about how resources flow through organizations. Strategic implications: why ABC creates competitive advantage. Activity-based costing creates competitive advantage by revealing profitability truths that traditional costing hides. When companies know their true cost per product, per customer, per channel, they can make decisions that seem counterintuitive but are actually brilliant. Here's a real example. A bank analyzed customer profitability using ABC and discovered that 20% of customers generated 150% of profits while another 30% actually lost money. Traditional costing averaged everyone out, hiding this subsidy. Armed with ABC data, they redesigned fee structures to make unprofitable customers either more profitable or self-select out. Harsh, perhaps. But competitors without ABC insight were subsidizing money-losing customers and wondering why their profits lagged. The same principle applies to product mix decisions. Consider Apple's product line. They could make a cheaper iPhone, but ABC analysis likely shows that low-price products often consume disproportionate service resources, more support calls from price-sensitive, less tech-savvy customers, higher warranty claims, and similar sales effort to premium products. The activity cost of serving a budget customer might exceed the margin they generate. This is why Apple abandoned the budget market rather than chase volume, ABC thinking, even if they don't publicize it. Meanwhile, companies that chase volume without ABC understanding often discover too late that their best-selling product was actually their biggest money loser. Activity-based management, ABM, extends ABC from costing to action. Once you know which activities drive costs, you can work on reducing them strategically. Haywood Printing at 5 cents per copy might invest in more efficient copying equipment that reduces the rate to 4 cents, a 20% activity cost reduction. Lock Data Processing at $100 per hour for analysis might invest in better analytics software that lets analysts work faster, effectively reducing the hourly rate needed for equivalent output. Stackhouse Computing at $75 per hour for technicians might cross-train direct labor workers to handle routine technical tasks, shifting work from the expensive pool to the cheaper one. ABC doesn't just measure, it reveals opportunities for operational improvement that would otherwise remain invisible. The future belongs to companies that master granular cost understanding. As artificial intelligence and automation transform industries, the activities within businesses are changing rapidly. Tasks that once required $100 per hour data analysts might be handled by AI at pennies per query. Materials handling done by $50 per hour forklift operators might shift to robots with 10 cents per pound effective rates. Companies using ABC can model these transitions, calculate ROI on automation investments, and predict which activities will remain human versus shift to machines. If you understand activity-based costing deeply, you understand the economic engine driving the fourth industrial revolution. Your action plan, from knowledge to application. Here are your 5 action steps to cement this learning and apply it beyond the exam. First, master the calculations until they're automatic. Rework each of the 8 problems without looking at solutions. Time yourself. Can you solve all 8 in under 15 minutes? That's your speed target for the exam. The formulas themselves are simple. What matters is recognizing which situation requires which approach. Create flashcards with problem scenarios on one side and solution structures on the other. Drill until batch costing versus job costing versus differential analysis become instant pattern recognition. Second, find ABC in your daily life this week. Before your next DoorDash order, calculate the activity-based cost, delivery fee, batch cost, food cost, variable per item, service fee, percentage-based, tip, variable per order. Track your own time like lock data processing. How many hours did you spend on high-value activities, studying, skill-building, networking, versus low-value activities, mindless scrolling, waiting, commuting? If you valued your time at $20 per hour, what's the cost of an hour on TikTok versus an hour in study group? ABC thinking transforms how you see time allocation. Third, research one company's cost structure. Pick a company you're interested in working for or investing in. Tesla, Nike, Chipotle, Spotify, whatever calls to you. Find their annual report and look for clues about their activity costs. What drives their cost structure? What activities are they trying to optimize? When Chipotle talks about throughput, customers served per hour, that's activity-based thinking. When Netflix talks about content cost per subscriber, that's ABC. Connect today's lecture to real companies you care about. Fourth, teach someone else. The ultimate test of understanding is explanation. Find a friend, family member, or study partner and explain ABC using Tasty Beverages batch costing example. If you can make someone who knows nothing about accounting understand why 100,000 cans cost $11,000, while 5,000 cans cost $550, you've truly mastered it. Teaching forces you to anticipate confusion and clarify logic, exactly what you'll need when a future boss asks you to explain a cost analysis. Fifth, connect this to your career path. If you're heading toward corporate finance, ABC is how you'll evaluate product profitability and capital investments. If consulting interests you, ABC is the framework you'll use to diagnose client cost problems. If entrepreneurship calls you, ABC is how you'll price products without accidentally losing money. Even if accounting isn't your primary path, understanding cost behavior makes you a more valuable team member in any role. To know accounting, you must do accounting. And to advance in any business career, you must think in activity-based terms. Thank you for learning with me today. These 8 foundational problems are your gateway to cost accounting mastery. Go do the work, apply the concepts, and I'll see you in the next session where the numbers speak and we will listen.